Lapu, then it'll be very difficult to actually match up to the CC regardless of whether it ends up in the EXP or the gold lane.
That's kind of true though. There's a
Oke,
lot of
kita
fighting can
masuk
be done
ke
here
dalam
from
game
the
pertama
draft
ya,
wise. And at the same
antara
time, coming
Mongolia
into
versus
Mongolia, right? We know for a
Uzbekistan.
fact that they can actually just cut off more of the hero pools itself for their own system. Because right now for Uzbekistan, they kind of need someone to be even more on the front line as
Mongolia
well, or
versus
even to actually go
Uzbekistan.
out for the back line. And having only Gatakacha will not actually give so much of the leeway
Kita
as well.
lihat
But
hero yang di
looking out
ban,
for the Phobias to be taken out
ada
from
Hilda,
the equation.
Alice, Grok, Popheus,
Phobius being banned is quite
Iesf,
interesting. CC
Angela,
normally pairs up
Arlott,
quite well into the Phobius. There aren't
Kalea,
really so many EXP laners
Minato.
left in the pool that would have a difficult time against Phobius. Typically when you see this banned out, it's usually to enable like an assassin, like Lancelot. But Mongolia has already revealed that Baxia, though there is the potential of
Ada
flexing this.
Kimi,
So there,
Cici,
I think Mongolia might actually still
Isun
want to grab
Sin,
something like a
Gatot
Lance or
Kaca,
a
Lunox.
Hayabusa, and they could put this Baxia into the roam position instead.
Oh, definitely. This is the
Kita lihat
way that
satu
they're trying
Ruben
to
lagi.
actually play around with it, and I kind of do agree on that. And that still haven't been actually exposed yet to which of the heroes that they're going to actually put out. But here, Uzbekistan try to actually hold out even more of sustained hero, such as Minotaur, knowing for a fact now there's a lot more of the hideout, or should I say, more of the sustained heroes they want to
Granger.
actually take out. But Granger been picked up for the last ban from Mongolia. What are your thoughts on this stuff?
Granger di ban.
Yeah.
Ban. Don't really feel like it's necessary. But Mongolia indicating they might want to play more of a front to back position right now. CC would normally be okay for handling the
Ada
Cruiser.
Ruby.
I'm kind of surprised they would ban this. It means that they might be leaning into a marksman in the gold lane still. And this is actually a CC EXP. Another Ruby going to be locked in from Uzbekistan once again, lending itself quite well to the double fighter side lane and most likely leaving their EXP laner for last, since it would be the most valuable to counter against Team Mongolia.
This is very interesting coming off from both sides of the teams itself. And knowing now, we are seeing that Lapu as well as Khalid been picked
Lapu,
off.
Khalid.
Oh, I'm not sure about this choice though.
Why not?
Khalid bin Walid.
How do I say? I feel like pretty much you have a lot of the grounds of sustainability, right? But I do feel like for the damage wise, it's still not going to be enough compared to how it's going to be like for Uzbekistan, especially with the Xbox coming along for the front line itself, burst it down immediately with the LT itself. It kind of shows how much that Mongolia, yes, they have so much of potential of surviving any kind of damage wise, but are they going to be able to push through with the damage towards Uzbekistan?
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from here. So it does look like this is going to be a Baxia jungle. Then we have the Khalid roam. It is double fighter, but with a tank jungle, it means that Kimi is going to be a majority of their damage.
Yeah.
Lapu, Khalid, CC all can output good DPS, but they're largely cooldown dependent or not quite bursty enough, which means that they have to play quite hard for the early to mid game scaling phase. Whereas on the opposite side, you have the Isun Shin, and the X4 glass pick is excellent here because you are dealing with one tank and 3 fighters.
Tadi udah
So
record
X4
ya,
is
tapi
very
camnya
good at
itu
dealing
error.
with dive compositions like this with a large number of frontliners. Right now,
Diulang lagi,
draft-wise,
Cok.
I do think that Uzbekistan looks a little bit better, but based on gameplay so far, Team Mongolia has displayed strong mastery. So let's find out which of these two squads will be able to come out on top in game number 1.
It is very tricky. It's going to be like how we see where between the fights, who will actually withstand more and who will actually have much more damage compared to the rest. Because the fact is, yes, like I talked about how DPS-wise, it is not going to be enough much compared to how it is from the Uzbekistan side. But when it comes to Mongolia, I like the fact that they are prioritizing on sustainability-wise and now coming in to fight with Yunata, just messing around, trying to invade the area of the team of Uzbekistan and looking for a way to just hold it out, such as just trying to actually mess around, try to actually make sure that she doesn't have much of a potential to move around the area. But at the same time, Nika, here's the thing about Khalid. Khalid, I love the fact that mobility-wise, Nika can move around very quickly, can actually safeguard herself with the sand itself to give a little bit of health, revitalization for her own health line. But at the same time, here's the thing, once you move in for the sandstorm as well, you might actually be in a very scary situation or dangerous situation because your lifeline is also very, very slippery.
They definitely can afford to play aggressively with the Khalid, but you still gotta keep a mind on your positioning overall. Looking at the emblem setup on both sides, nothing too out of the ordinary. Zulana is actually going weakness finder on the mid lane Kimi, so intending to be the late game scaler as is
Mana
expected,
ini
since
gamenya
that
panjang
is
lagi.
going to be Mongolia's main win condition. Whereas on the opposite side, we see Impure Rage coming in on the X-Borg as well. Ellis is well aware of the impact that her hero pick is gonna have this game.
Oh, but Softyfly coming in, trying to actually move a little bit closer, but at the same time, Yasha takes down Zulan at first, at the same time, Carry shuts down Slowy. Now, Softyfly trying to go in for the zoning, but at the same time, is it gonna be enough though? They had to pull away first of all with Nika. No one to defend, but at least she's managed to actually pull through. Now, moving along, they try to actually shut down Carry, so that's going to be at least 2 wins in the hands of Uzbekistan. This turtle, it seems like, is going to be in the hands of them if they can actually manage to just shut down and zone out Anu before she takes down. But at the same time, lovely contribution to the fact that even Anu takes down Softyfly, the turtle will be in the hands. But double kill comes through, even with the fact that they try their best to hold out Uzbekistan. That is still not enough, but Anu, great mobility-wise to make sure that she will get that 2-piece without being taken off by Zulana. Shuts down Hinata. It is a back-and-forth fight indeed, but at the same time, it's just not enough for Uzbekistan to make a difference.
Very messy fight there, unfortunately, from both teams. I do believe that could have done a lot cleaner on both sides. The Raging Sandstorm gonna be forced out here as well. Mongolia has a team comp that's very good at diving, but when they dive, they need to keep the mindset about their backliner, their Kimi, their one solo consistent DPS being targeted down by Yasha right at the very beginning. Uzbekistan had already mainly won the fight by taking advantage of Mongolia's overextension, but then Anu7 got a great play and basically made the difference, even though Mongolia still did end up losing the turtle in the end.
But at the same time, Softyfly trying to actually go out to Nika. Nika will be taken immediately by Yasha. Now going in for the traction pulse. It's not going to do so much damage though, as much as Uzbekistan is doing well. But it's a really good holdout for Zulana. Zulana doing a really good movement right now. Just try to make sure you have a gap. But at the same time, as much as Uzbekistan is forcing all this team fight, Team Mongolia have a really good range of safety net between them.
And Team Mongolia should try to play this just a little bit more disciplined. Again, hold on.
Jauh juga guys, Mobile Legends sampai kemana-mana udah Mobile
But at
Legends.
the same time, Nika, as the survivor, making sure that she will not be touched, and that is a really good defense coming up from the Mongolia.
Gotta really say, Yasha has been a very aggressive player on this Lunox thus far, and I actually really like that, knowing who her target is going to be. This Kimi, once they remove her from the equation, the rest of Mongolia burns down quite slowly over to the side of Ellis, and Uzbekistan wants to continue playing for that sort of win condition.
And coming in right now, go for the fight. Anu had to move away as quickly as possible. This is going to be a turtle that is going to be contested out. Traction pulse comes through. Lana goes in for the base attack, trying to actually hold out, but it's going to be the turtle in the hands of Mongolia right now. Avatar Garden put out, got 2 people, but at the same time, is it going to be enough though? Anu will be shut down by slowly immediately. And now Carry in a mix of all, trying to be surviving it out. Managed to actually move away, but it's going to be only one lifeline with the turtle in the hands of Mongolia.
Still a little bit messy overall. Raging comes through. Sogifly actually goes down in exchange for Nika here. I don't think they're gonna get too much more from that, but Team Mongolia is still holding on to the lead since they were able to get a turtle from that previous exchange. We are starting to see some of the weaknesses of this lineup. It is very vulnerable to an X-Borg, and Zulana is constantly being kept out of position to not be able to DPS down the members of Uzbekistan. If Mongolia wants to continue for their win condition, they need to make sure they're able to extend this goal lead.
The fact that we are seeing that no matter how much they are trying to pressure out, doing in a little bit of film throw here, but at the same time, Alice has no worry. But Carry comes in from the back line, gonna push in all out. Alice has a danger zone right here with Anu, shuts down immediately her, and now moving along, it's going to be open for the top turrets to be taken out by the Mongolia. Right at the bottom, Nika sticking together with Psycho, looking forward to see whether or not they can manage it up, because the fact is right now, things are slowing down a little bit.
I think that is to be expected here. So far, Anu7 has been doing a very good job on this Lapu Lapu, even winning out that trade against X4, which is not an easy thing to do. and has basically been responsible for keeping Mongolia in a lot of these fights, despite the lack of damage right now, since Zulana and Mob Psycho still need an item or two before they become as scary as they usually would be. Uzbekistan, though, even though they are behind by a little bit, don't need to worry too much.
Bridgestone comes in, takes down first Hinata, and at the same time now pushing off with the Mountain Shocker. Does manage to get 3, Thrasher falls through, and Anu takes down slowly, as well as Optifly. Yasha shuts down carry for the trade, but is it going to be enough? Elias will be the one to be the victim in that situation. Unfortunately, only one will be able to steal.
Well, I literally just said that Uzbekistan don't need to worry too much, but that was under the condition that they continue playing this slowly and carefully, since they do have the better late game scaling. Unfortunately, they grouped up a little bit too hard, and that is where Team Mongolia's dive composition comes out on top. Basically 100% of the time. Uzbekistan cannot afford to take fights like that. They should have probably considered just giving up Hinata at that point, because he was just too far out of position, and they're more of a slow burn type of team, especially with this Lunox and Export.
This is going to be the third turtle right here. Both had their own share, but right now it seems that it's going to be just a free one for Mongolia as Team Uzbekistan losing their tempo, losing their life as well. Anu goes out to fight. Bridgestone comes through, takes down slowly immediately, but the treasure falls also coming off right now. Yasha trying to survive it out, but Zombie Fly unfortunately will be shut down immediately by Mob Psycho, and now leaving only 3 players to fend for themselves.
Excellent initiation right there once again from Anu7. Mongolia is well aware that now at the 8-minute mark, this is the power spike for their team. This is officially and firmly in the mid-game phase, when you've got about 2 items near to the third, where fighters are going to be the strongest. Zulana also being able to start picking up assists, which means that if they see anyone isolated on the side of Team Uzbekistan, especially if Ellis is not around, they can just full commit, pick them off, and they usually won't be punished too much.
And the fact that right now we are seeing that Uzbekistan doesn't have much to actually do some of the damage to at least shred a little bit of the sustainability in the hands of Mongolia. This is the question, but Bridgestone comes in, doesn't pick up anyone, but at the same time, so much of the damage comes in from Zulana herself, just with the basic attack. But at the same time, right here, Anu7 trying to catch up to Yasha, but at the same time, it's going to be the one and only slowly who will be taken out by Mob Psycho. Now looking for something fly as well as Hinata. They're overextending themselves, they're too much trying to defend, but is it going to be enough though? Nope. Team Uzbekistan, they gotta do it a little bit slow this time.
Team Uzbekistan is making reactive mistakes right now. Their positioning is being punished because they are playing a little bit slowly. Their response speed is not quite up to the par of Team Mongolia, and they're taking advantage of that. These fights are actually still a little bit messy. I feel like it was definitely possible that Mongolia could have been picked off there.
Ooh, but Yasha, 1v1 with Nika, and Anu comes in. That's not a good situation right there for Yasha. Now it's going to be attacked, immediately been catched, but at the same time, there is a support right here with Russian Pulse, will not be able to do anything, unless they back off easily.
It was good on Yasha to hold on to that flicker until the very last moment there. If it was used too early on, 100% that Lunox would have went down. And Yasha is well aware right now that she is a very important player for Uzbekistan.
Now, trying to go all out to Anu. Goes out for the AOG. Doesn't catch anyone, unfortunately. This is going to be the first slot. Salty Fly, right in the open, will be taken out first of all by Mob Psycho. Now moves in with the last Insanity, but doesn't get anyone. Oh, does get Anu first of all, but at the same time, at what cost at the moment with Nika being taken out by Yasha as well. Now, Carry just down Hinata for the trades. It's going to be 2-2-2. Still, they had to back off, and now it could be a lot for Mongolia to take for the win.
Not a terrible trade considering how far Uzbekistan is behind right now. They end up fading both roamers and EXP laners. Unfortunately, Mongolia is going to be the ones that is able to get the Lord, and looks like they'll lose slowly as well. And now they have in trouble.
I'm not sure why she wanted to actually even contest with Psycho. The fact that she knows that Psycho already had so much of sustainability. Even with the last Insanity, it's not going to be enough damage to pull through. And Yasha looking for a way. A lot of damage been put out right there, but still, it's not going to be enough. As she's just trying to actually hold, making sure that this turret does not fall.
Team Uzbekistan so far has largely been depending on independent action from their players. There's not a lot of teamwork happening here, and I think part of it is because of the way that this composition from Team Mongolia plays out. It's a lot easier for them to just throw bodies at their opponents, and Team Uzbekistan are the ones that have to position a little bit more smartly since they have more squishy heroes overall. If they can hold out the game a little bit longer, their scaling can come into play though. So for Team Mongolia, the win condition is to try and close this out in the next couple minutes.
Yep, Lot comes through right now. Trying to make sure that the Lot doesn't break the holy defense. I think they might be able to do so. Yep, finally able to defend it wisely. But at the same time, the mid lane defended wisely, but at the same time, the mid lane holy defense already been broken out. So still, the rest of the turrets looking like, oh no, they already broke the holy defense from the bottom as well. So it's going to be a little bit bearless right now for the side of Uzbekistan. They're holding for their dear life, making sure that their defense will still be surviving. At the same time, right here, looking for a way to find at least a backline so that they can actually push through. But unfortunately, Mongolia sticking together like glue is not making an easy way for Uzbekistan to come in.
Yeah, Mongolia has realized the mistakes they made earlier in the game that made it so that the early game started off a little more slowly, and now they're positioning correctly to make sure that Zulana is always safe. Not to mention Mob Psycho currently 6-0 on the CC. 9k gold lead for Team Mongolia as we approach the 12-minute mark. If they're able to close the game out in the next Lord, that should be the goal for them. Whereas for Team Uzbekistan, if they are able to survive another 2 Lord pushes or so, last the game out until the 17-18-minute mark, then they actually do have a chance of making a comeback.
And the fact that this is the time ticking right here for Team Uzbekistan, holding off from each and angle to make sure that the team of Mongolia doesn't come near their area. They're making sure that at least the minion push will still be able to neutralize things, because the more the pressure that Mongolia puts on, the more that they will have a problem to contain their area. And somehow, they're making sure that every area does not actually have a surprise ambush attack, and that's what they are worried right now. At least slowly, all alone there, they spotted out. Will slowly be actually catch out. This is kind of actually danger zone for her as well. But at the same time, it's looking like Uzbekistan is trying to do a split push right down below. Maybe there's a possibility to trying to distract it out, and this could be an opening for Uzbekistan.
Yeah, I like the positioning and awareness here from Uzbekistan. They realize no one's on the bottom side of the map, so slowly he's probably in trouble. Don't want to move too far out. And they're not going to be too greedy about pushing the tower either. But they are giving up the small hole they had over the bottom side of the map. So this is going to be another free Lord from Mongolia. So that is somewhat to be expected. Uzbekistan needs to hold this one. And one more. If they're able to survive that, then their scaling can actually start kicking in.
And the fact that they are also trying to actually push on for the top, as well as the Lord is already been in the hands of Mongolia. But the question is, they have to actually recall back. It's not going to be easy for them to just make that split push, knowing for a fact that Lot is coming in as soon as possible. So this is a danger zone again. Like you talked about, Zafar, right now is all about timing. If they can actually survive this out for the second Lot, they might have a chance to reverse things around, or at least have a breather for them to reset back as long as they actually have their power back. But at the same time right here, it seems that they're gonna go in for now.
Now, a trend that we saw quite often during day one of WEC was teams just brute forcing their way through to end the game when they had a lead, even though it could have been a risky choice. Now with the Lord pushing up top lane, we'll see whether Team Mongolia wants to just rush in and close out the game right here, or if they want to play it a little bit more safely. The base defense in Uzbekistan is not bad.
Uzbekistan's turret might actually be dropped right this instant by the Lord, but they're coming in slowly and surely. Turret's been done already. Quite disciplined coming in. They're not trying to push. They're not going to overextend. But Anu comes in for the backline. Comes through with the last insanity. But doesn't it going to be enough though? Not much of a damage. AOG comes through as well. But still, we are seeing that at least Anu will be taken out first by Yasha. But revive it up by Soul Fly as well by Nika. But now double kick comes through by Yasha with carry. And living along
Tadi yang pertama masuk si Anu
right here to be surviving Zulana as well as Mob Psycho. So they had to back off. Enough of the pressure been put out.
Yeah, just like what I mentioned, Team Uzbekistan's base defense is not bad. They have an X-Borg that's going to be able to output consistent damage, and a Ruby that can punish any overextensions. And while they did play very disciplined in the initial Lord push, I think it was a little greedy to try and force down the mid inhibitor as well. So while they are still going to be able to hold on to their gold lead there, that was an opportunity that, if played a bit more carefully, could have resulted in at least one more tower for Mongolia if they played the long game instead.
The fact now we are seeing they're setting up a little bit for the mid, trying to break every barrier that's coming in from the side of Mongolia itself. Uzbekistan, they're desperate. They know for a fact that no matter what, at least they will try to do at least the push of the minion. The wave itself will be able to help them just a little bit more so that they can push into Mongolia's side. And not only that, they're making sure that at least there's no much of invasion coming through their side.
Right now, we are 20 seconds
Kita
away
lihat
from the
Lord
next Lord
ketiga.
spawning. And from what I already mentioned earlier, this Lord is the last safe chance for Mongolia to end the game on their terms.
Sun
If they're
ketahuan tuh.
not able to push in and break the crystal down after this objective, the game becomes a lot more difficult for them because we will reach the point
Sun-nya
where Slowly
kelihatan.
and Yasha actually do quite a
Dipaksa Lord.
bit of DPS.
The fact that we are seeing right now, this could be a lot just given out straight to Mongolia as we see that Slowly just pushing in right at the top freely. And again, it is kind of a critical thinking coming off from the team of Uzbekistan. They're not going to be able to do anything to actually get that lot or try to steal it off. It's just going to be a good zoning coming up from Nika itself to make sure that Uzbekistan doesn't come in. But here on out, Slowly is getting a little bit ambitious, had to pull away or else might actually be fighting off with Anu itself. But here on out, we are seeing the moment of crucial for Team Uzbekistan. Can they actually survive the next Lord?
So it was a little, it could have been a little bit
Kita lihat level
cleaner.
udah imbang ya.
I like the coordination from Uzbekistan there. Slowly was deciding whether to keep pushing or to go home there. And she committed to the push at the same time that her team tried to engage on Mongolia to stop them from going home. They unfortunately were unsuccessful in keeping them around the pit,
Ada
but
Ruby-nya
immediately
udah level.
communicated that information over to Slowly, who changed her mind at the
Ya,
right
kurang
timing
satu
and made
level
sure that
saya.
no one would be caught out of position. So I like that Uzbekistan is playing this right. They're not trying to contest Lord because they know they're not as good in aggressive position. But that means they are going to need to defend this. And if they're able to do so, this game completely changes. This is Mongolia's last chance to get a clean close on game number 1.
Let's see, let's see. Lord is marching in right now. Trying to catch anyone right on the front line. Mlbb trying to make sure that no one comes in. A lot of big
Lihat
attack
lah.
coming in from Zulana
Mereka
itself.
nih nggak
Still,
bisa,
the Lord
nggak
will
berani
take it down
end gitu
immediately
ya.
by Uzbekistan. But here's the thing, there will be a push come through. Even Anu doesn't get in, Traction Pulse doesn't go in for the follow-up. Instead, a lot of discipline comes in. A lot of late reflex comes through from the side. But now they're pushing in for the side of the team of Uzbekistan. Can Carry make it through? Carry had to pull away at the same time. Uzbekistan denying every entrance. There's a late response comes from Mongolia that gives an opportunity for Uzbekistan for breathing.
There were some slightly awkward plays from Hinata there. Anu 7 getting a massive land shaker, but still not quite enough. Mongolia has failed their timing. They're trying to push in still, but here Uzbekistan can actually start hitting back.
Hitting back to Nika. First of all, last insanity just to make sure that Nika dies immediately with Slowly as well. But again, Team Uzbekistan, a lot of effort just to take down one player.
Now, things are actually
Itulah
all
kayak
on
nggak
the
ada
table.
artinya, guys.
Mongolia still has a 7k gold lead, yes, but Uzbekistan have their items. At this point, the goal difference no longer makes that big of an impact. And it is all about that team execution. Mongolia, that was their last opportunity. And unfortunately, they didn't properly utilize their lineup to split up the map. They didn't sync up the waves, which made it very simple for Uzbekistan to focus on the Lord wave and then make sure the rest of their towers were defended. Because of that, this is now a 50-50 game. Anything can actually happen.
Oh, yeah, definitely. He's already coming in from 20 minutes. Even this is just the first game of the day, and yet we are seeing so much of the hesitant from the side of Mongolia, when the fact that we've already talked about how they could actually end the game if they can actually have a proper formation or a proper positioning to actually pull through
Enak
with
loh
their
guys tuh.
decision making. But
Sebenarnya
now,
tuh enak ya.
Uzbekistan is taking every situation for their own sake, and at the same time, this is going to be an enhanced lot for the team of Mongolia to take. And if they can actually be able to aim it off for themselves, this could be an end for the team of Uzbekistan. And Mongolia cannot make a mistake whatsoever right now.
Yasha going to have to use the Brilliance quite early here, which means that the Lunox doesn't actually have her cooldowns available for this next
Kita
Lord.
lihat lot
Up
lagi
until
guys.
now, Uzbekistan has
Ini
basically been
lotnya
giving
udah
up these
evolusi ya.
objectives to Mongolia, which is the smart choice. But now that we're at the 20-minute mark, they should fight, and that's what they're doing.
They're going in for the back first, but at the same time, Yasha had to pull away. Last Insanity comes through, doesn't catch anyone, does get Anu though, but at the same time, Iesf having a problem with the Furuga armor, having a little bit more small life, and with the Avatar of the Argadin, doesn't even make it through. Now they're going all a little bit of a messiness from the side of mid lane here, and they had to pull away. No one was in the casualty.
We can now see how awkward this is for Team Mongolia. They've been leading, they've been controlling the map for the entire time, but now they cannot even keep themselves in the river. Kyrie's still trying to go
Kita
for
lihat
it
tuh
though.
boxnya
Kyrie
maksa.
going in, pulling off, trying to find a way to go for the big line, but at the same time,
Okay.
losing the life at the moment right now. With Last Insanity, will be pushing through. Nika takes down Yasha first of all. Kyrie will be immediately shut down by Iesf, but at the same time right here, pushing on with the Raging Sandstorm, moving on with the rest of the Uzbekistan lifeline already depleted one after another here. Hinata left all alone with Slowly, and Wisp of Defy will be burst down by Zulana.
That is a mistake there from Team Uzbekistan. They had the clear advantage over the Lord Pit, but did not target down this Kimmy. This is the issue of this hero. You cannot ignore her at this point. She is the only consistent laning DPS that Team Mongolia had. And if they were able to at least zone Zulana out of the fight, that would have gone completely differently. But now Lord control is reset. Even with the numbers advantage, it is unlikely that Mongolia will be able to push in for now. So the game is going to get extended.
The game is definitely pushing overtime right now with 22 minutes in the clock already. Team Mongolia still a little bit messy on the team fight itself, but yet great job coming in from Zulana to make sure that she doesn't get caught up by Uzbekistan, and that's what makes it a little bit of difference coming in from the fight itself, right? You have your one and only DPS that will be surviving and be able to do so much damage, as well as bursting down the enemy opponent. But now, looking on the side of Mongolia,
Kita lihat lot
they're not
lagi.
going to wait any longer. They're going to go all out for this Lord. Uzbekistan, if they do not stop this, it could be a free lot. Yet again, an objective being covered by them. But here, look at this. Nika doing a great job zoning out Yasha. Will deny it, but Lily's looking for a way. Can she actually bring it out? No! She's
Dapat
not the
Icebox tuh.
lot! She breaking down the lot! This is the time for Uzbekistan. Is it going to be enough? Yasha takes down Carry first of all. Avatar Guardian going to be stopped in right to go in for Anu. But is it going to be enough? No, Zulana comes in to just burst the damage. And we're making sure that Uzbekistan doesn't pull it. But I am forbidden. Hinata comes in to drag more Psycho with Elias burning to the ground. And now Uzbekistan making a difference.
A very small mechanical misplay that cost Team Mongolia dearly. They had already completely zoned out slowly from the Lord Pit, but they forgot about the consistent damage of the X-Borg and slightly missed the retry timing. Uzbekistan trying to push in now.
They're trying to push in, pulling off, taking off. Nika takes down by the side, but Zulana did manage to take down Yasha as well. So the 5 will not be able to survive it out by Zulana's damage. Great comeback comes through from the Uzbekistan, but unfortunately with the forcing of the dit, and it will be the fault of themselves.
That's greedy again. Another mistake, this time by Team Uzbekistan. They grouped themselves up to get mass AoE stunned so that Zulana could do the damage. They were perfectly healthy. They could have definitely pushed in there. But these teams are getting desperate. The
Uzbekistan mau
finesse
end
is
tadi ya.
completely
Maksa.
lacking. It is now
Tapi
absolute
offset tuh.
chaos in the land of Dawn. As it all now comes down to execution, which team is able to keep their wits about them, who is going to be able to set up the map more effectively, even though Uzbekistan were able to get the Lord. Next to that mistake of trying to just brute force their way through the mid lane, they're going to get nothing out of it.
I mean, at least they'd be able to actually clear out the turrets, right? And this is what they needed. A slow push coming through for that minion wave, making sure that they're getting closer and closer to clear out some of the territory of the Mongolia itself. But still, it's a risky move. It's not really like a 50-50 chance that Uzbekistan is definitely going to change it out. But here on out, Bounty Shaka comes through to Anu. But slowly, that is kind of a big mistake. You want to meet up with the one and only who have so much sustainability in the hands. It is not a good move.
I mean, it's perfectly fine to just go for the poke at that point. Yasha trying to commit on Anu, but it's going to be another situation where you don't quite have the lockdown necessary.
Yeah.
But doing that does mean they have slightly better positioning over the riverside. The next Lord is coming up in 15 seconds.
Next Lord is coming off for 15 seconds. If Team Uzbekistan
Ya,
can make a
Xbox udah ada
difference with
immortal
Eli
Dena guys.
able to actually steal away that Lord, that's great, superb mechanism coming in from the team of Uzbekistan. But here's
Lihat
the thing,
lot lagi.
Mongolia, will they allow it? They go into the back line. Nika comes through, spotted out Stogdy5 first of all. Goes out for the slash, but traction pulse comes through with Elias. Elias had to back away. Burger Armor doesn't have the opportunity to actually do the well, so they had to pull away from the positioning. But Mongolia as well, they're not really that committed. They had to back away. Curry was spotted out quickly, but now they're pushing in for the skirmish at the moment right now with the side of Elias, trying to break every single movement. But Anu was able to zone out Yasha, but at the same time right here, Kerry will be able to survive it. Elias, unfortunately, last insanity doesn't come through. AOG comes in. Will it be enough? No, with Zulana just breaking, bursting down, but does manage to take down Nika first of all. And Zulana doing as much as possible to shut down Sabihar for the trade. And at the same time right here, we're slowly finishing down by Boeing Psycho. Now pushing off with the last insanity. Doesn't get anyone. What a waste of the skill. And now Hinata left out alone trying to survive it out. Pushing on, moving with the flicker. They're only left with 2 players and will be taken out. Now Hinata left all alone with Yasha to be surviving, but then managed to pull through with Anu to be taken down.
This is absolute chaos right now, and I'm gonna be honest, there's nothing good I can say about it. Both these teams are just playing off of pure instinct. There is no macro sense being put into you. The way they're positioning these fights is just, I see enemy in front of me, I'm going to hit them. And that is not how you're supposed to be playing the game right now. Both sides need to lock in. There needs to be proper strategy going into this. At the very least, I will give Team Uzbekistan props for actually having the macro sense of keeping their lanes shoved out. If not for that, Mongolia would have ended this game a long time ago. And having multiple fighters means that Mongolia should be able to split push. They don't need to be relying on team fighting to win out, especially now that we are at the 27-minute mark. But hey, that's the situation we find ourselves in, and we can only pray and see what is going to happen next.
I think for the record, right, I think this is actually the longest fight we've seen, even from yesterday's series, 3 series that we saw from the group stage. This is the longest one we've come here for, 27 minutes in the game itself now. This is going to be the 3rd lot coming in, actually 4th lot to push in. And if Team Mongolia or even Uzbekistan leave it out to be open, it could be either side to make sure that they can push into their own turret and get that crystal. But the question is, the upper hand definitely goes out to Mongolia because they keep allowing the minions to push in right at the top. So let's see how they're going to be able to set up for the launch.
Yeah, Team Uzbekistan so far has still been doing a great job of splitting the fights by getting the side waves pushed out. And Team Mongolia are still not very efficient at responding to it. But they will see. Oh, hold on.
Oh, Yasha pushing on straight to Nika, but doesn't got enough. Traction Pulse will get 2 players, but at the same time, right here, Anu comes in. Raging Storm comes through right here with Hinata having a lifeline, still surviving though, but at the same time, at the quad course right here with, or even the Lord comes in to fight it off. A little bit of the airborne, and Anu takes down Elias first of all with Zogdyfly. Burn to the ground with Zulana just comes through. Does manage to have the Winter Crown though, but will they be able to survive with the 4 players just pushing on with Zogdyfly? Also be terminated.
Massive misplay from Team Uzbekistan. There was no need for them to go for such a rushed dive, especially with one of their squishier members, Yasha, going in and popping both ultimates straight away. That meant that they had no longer any DPS to handle the side of Team Mongolia. So even though they should scale better damage-wise, they just gave it all up. This Lord going to be secured by the Mongolian squad. And now they have one more opportunity to finally close this game out.
29 minutes, 20 seconds in the clock, and Mongolia getting the 4th lot should secure them already the winning here for our first round of the first series of the day. And Uzbekistan kind of slow. They weren't able to actually defend long enough, but will they be able to do the last defense system so that they can be able to turn things around? It looks a little bit dim right now for the light of them. But somehow, if they can make a difference, they can actually switch up and at least take advantage of the mistake. Because somehow, both of these teams have made a couple of mistakes with each other. But yet, it is going down to be Mongolia who push in with a lot.
One more opportunity. They already failed to maximize this the last time. But it looks like they have learned from their mistakes. The waves are actually synced up. At the very least, they should be able to take all the inhibitors. Can they close out the crystal?
Let's see. Traction Pulse takes down Yasha, having a problem right there. Still surviving with the mortality, but at the same time will be taken out by Anu. Now moving along, trying to go all out with a burst. In last insanity will be pulled through, but is it going to be enough to take down Nika and Anu? Nope, not be able to do so. Elias had to survive it out, but did manage to take down by Hinata. Hinata with Zulana. The burst damage dealer will be shut down, and it's going to be an opening for Uzbekistan to clear things around.
Even with another Lord, a 29-minute empowered Lord, Mongolia were not able to push into the base. And unfortunately, they once again miss position and leave their main DPS in a vulnerable spot where Team Uzbekistan were able to take advantage of it. And this is after they bursted down the Lunox first. They should have had a clear advantage when Yasha was taken out of the fight. But so far, these teams are still making misplays.
It seems that overextension coming in from Anu 7 there, but I don't think it will be able to survive. The last Insanity comes in, does have the burst damage, but Anu 7 still survives. Registon comes through to actually took down Elias with all the skill has already been done. But now, we are seeing that at least they're trying to burst it out and they still survive all the damage now. Moving on, Hinata will be caught off a guard. AOG comes through. They want to make sure that this is going to be the last defense. They did manage to actually avoid that casualty, but at the same time, the crystal, the minion will be pushing in, but at least we do see that Yasha comes back to survive it out and clear things out.
And looks like they will be able to keep that alive. Now they're turning the fight around. They've nearly taken out Mob Psycho, but they will be able to back off in time. No more minion wave though. Uzbekistan not able to take a tower off of this. But the timing lines up. They can actually transition over to the Lord, and Mongolia doesn't have their jungler.
They don't have their jungler. This is going to be a free lot to be taken, and they cannot make any more mistakes. They have a lot of division that they have to be taking care of. Not only they have to be wary of this push that is coming off from the top, but at the same time, Zulana comes in, takes down Sadifa, and still he has a Mongolia. Yasha takes down Mob Psycho, but is it going to be enough? Comes in with a Thrush and Pulse, and right this instant, Nika will be the next victim to be shut down by Uzbekistan. Who would have thought? The steal comes in, the Thrace comes through with the full wiped out.
And that is going to be it right there. A full team wipe onto Team Mongolia. Even though they were successful in stealing the Lord away, Team Uzbekistan now have a direct path through the mid lane. They will still have to clear the Lord off though. And it's actually going to take a surprising amount of time since they are lacking a proper marksman. That means that they can't close the game out with this yet.
There's still so much of the potential for Mongolia to think things around, right? The fact that, yeah, they still have the push, they got the steal from the Lord itself, but here's the thing. Uzbekistan, they're holding off for the spawn side. The revival that is coming from the 3 players of Mongolia, they can take advantage of this. They leave Soli right behind there, and now they're trying to push in, try to break this mid lane turret. Finally comes in, and let's see if they can actually manage to do so. Burn the ground with Anu. Anu trying to actually zone out. Can he make it through with the crystal? Right here in the crystal moment. Hinata just breaking out with the base attack. Can they actually steal it up? Wow! Uzbekistan will be the first win for the first series.
What a chaotic Game 1 between these two squads here. What a way to kick off day 2 of WEC. A 33-minute slugfest that finally ends with a victory for Team Uzbekistan. In fact, their first game victory of the entire tournament. But let's just say I got a lot of things to say about this one.
Go ahead. I love to hear it because again, it was messy. It was crazy messy coming up from all the team fight. Do you agree on that?